Well, here we are, everybody. Here we are. It's been long awaited. It's been long anticipated. We've talked about it for years now, literally, here on this channel and amongst ourselves. The Flash movie has been out. We've seen it. And now we're here to talk about it. And you know what? Is it good? Do we have anything good to really say about it?
No. So, hopping right in, let's go ahead and get the good part out of the way. We actually do have something good to say about it. It had some, there are some pros and some cons to this movie.
Yep.
The cool part about the two Flashes was Ezra Miller played very well against himself. It's been done before. It wasn't groundbreaking, but it was good.
True. Yeah, they didn't reinvent the wheel, but they did do it well.
Yeah, it did turn.
Yeah.
Hands meter, speaking as far as Supergirl
definitely was putting in that work.
Yeah.
If anything, something that could have made the movie better is if we could have seen her do a little bit more of that. If Supergirl could have whooped a little more ass, that would have been great.
Yeah, that would. Yeah, but it's not a Supergirl movie, which would have played into some more things we're going to talk about a little bit later. We've heard a lot of complaints about Keaton's Batman being cheesy, a little too on the nose, but that's on brand. So I think that's a pro to the movie, is that Keaton played Keaton's Batman.
He didn't try to switch it up suddenly.
We have this weird collective conscious decision of thinking that every Batman other than George Clooney or Val Kilmer was just like this brooding dark person, which really that didn't start until Christian Bale, I believe.
Yeah, I think you're right. Christian Bale really kind of began the dark Batman era, if you will.
Because Adam West wasn't. Yeah.
Not at all. And neither was Clooney.
No. Bat nipples. But the intro scene, the infant ward scene was good. CGI done with that and all that kind of stuff. It was cool.
That went
It was
hard.
dope.
Yeah, I really like this. I would say to all of the superhero movie makers out there, use that as an example of that was a good sort of scene of how you can introduce a character and what makes this character great and unique. And I feel like they did a good job of that with that scene. I enjoyed it a lot.
Yeah. I liked the suit. I thought this suit was cool. I've seen better ones on the TV show, but I definitely liked it more than the one from the Justice League, the previous version of the Flash suit in the DCEU on the movie screen. And one of the main things I liked about it is I liked the visor thing, how it was like tinted sunglasses over his eyes.
Yeah,
I hadn't seen that before. You got a lot of superhero costumes with just white for the eyes, telling the expressions and stuff. So that was a cool, I guess, like sort of take on that without just like having his eyes exposed like every other Flash suit.
No, yeah, I agree. I had no qualms, like I had no issues with the suit situation.
Yeah. Now let's get real up in this mug.
You see how quick the pros about.
So between us and Culture Core Academy, Caleb's the Marvel guy, and I'm the DC guy. That's like one of the dichotomies in here. We have a few of them, and that's the main like comic one. That's the main comic dynamic of Culture Core Academy. Is I'm the classic DC fan, and Caleb is the classic Marvel fan. If you wanted to break down and talk about different stories, both of us could talk about both. But if you wanted to pick which one you needed to like talk to about something for real, you need to go to him for Marvel. And it's probably a good idea to come to me for DC.
It's true.
And in being DC, my favorite comic is Sandman, but my favorite mainline hero is the Flash. I have more Flash comics than I have Sandman comics because they've made more Flash comics, and there's more. Flash is a lot less finite than the Sandman content is. Which being said, I'm disappointed.
Massively.
This movie, it wasn't enough. They took way too long to put this out.
And that is a huge part of it, is it not?
Yeah, because the show was good. It started out really strong. Then midway through, about
Go
season
watch them
4 or
first 3
5,
seasons. Them first 3 seasons, heat.
yeah, about season 4 or 5, it starts to taper off. But even the tapering off and what they did later was better than this.
True.
And I guess to start out, like with all the Flash content that we have and all the stuff that hasn't been explored on screen, like in the show, in the old show, in the cartoons and stuff, it's weird. Like there could have been more Flash centric stuff. Like we got the infant ward scene, right? But the movie starts out, like you said, as like a Justice League cameo. Like I believe that's a point you brought up earlier.
It is. That's a major point. And again, look at the movie. Barry don't even get like the first 5 minutes of this movie really to himself, before everything else is happening, Alfred, Superman, all this, Wonder Woman, all this whatnot. And same thing for the end of the movie. Everybody else's involvement, we got, the Clooney Batman, all this other stuff is happening.
By the way, spoiler alert. If you haven't seen this, sorry, Caleb, but if you haven't seen this and it's been this long, that's on you.
It is on you, as always.
My bad. Continue.
Yeah. No, but I mean, like, look, we're doing all that, and why?
Yeah, and to be honest, the Justice League cameo scene at the beginning was the best cameo scene.
It was
in a movie made of cameos.
True. They used their best one first, which that's not really, that's typically not how you go about doing those sort of things. But, here we are with that. And then, I don't know, it just didn't help serve Barry and that being a focal point. I don't know. And with all the other pieces, with Zod and Supergirl and all this and that, Barry, even with two of them, somehow at points felt lost in the shuffle of, his own movie. That's weird.
Yeah. And so we have that. It didn't feel much like a Flash movie. It felt like a DC Universe featuring the Flash movie.
Like, yeah, I mean, especially when you look at like them doing Flashpoint and the whole trying to change the future and all this and that. I mean, bro, like this
as the first movie.
But it to me it almost comes off as like a giant like DC what if movie. And they just chose to use the Flash.
Super Elseworlds.
Right, and they just chose to use the Flash as somewhat of the main character for the episode to revolve around.
Because it's weird. Okay, yeah, because it's weird to start out with a Flashpoint movie. And so to do that big misstep that's one of our issues, is there's nothing Flash-centric enough about this movie outside of that really, like, the Flash-centric stuff that you do know about kind of takes a backseat to all this other outside influence that isn't the Flash stuff. Like, there's only one Flash villain in this whole universe. Zero Flash villains in this movie. Like, when I say zero Flash-centric stuff in this movie, I'm mainly talking about Flash villains. And Flash villains, individual Flash villain stories are how he gets his multiple abilities that he all of a sudden just knows when he gets his powers back at the end of the movie.
Super
and he
quickly.
Can already, like, okay, we saw the Snyder Cut, which apparently they say that isn't canon, but Snyder Cut is the only thing that showed him run back in time, which they clearly reference in this movie in the beginning.
Yep, had to. Yeah, right.
And so it's weird that he can do that without a cosmic treadmill. He can make the tornado and phase without having fought any villains.
Like how
Captain Boomerang is dead.
Yeah, how do you develop all the skills? Like,
Yeah.
that's the thing. Like, how do you develop all the skills? It sorely misses for again that little thing of having just even one Flash villain to be somewhat involved with it at some point. For instance, like you could have had one involved at the beginning of the movie.
The same way that they showed him in that cameo scene in the first Suicide Squad movie when he put Captain Boomerang in jail is how they could have introduced a few, at least like one or two more, just like mainline Flash villains. You probably didn't even have to show the villains. You could have shown the effects of what was happening with them. Like he had to fight somebody who was freezing them. You didn't have to show the guy.
Right. Or, it could have been, do Captain something
Cole.
for do something for Grodd.
Or like I had to fight a mind controlling gorilla. Like we know if we're expected, which is another issue with this movie, if we were expected to come in with that much familiarity with the Flash, and you could at least like give us this much more to do some baiting, because that would have been a cool Easter egg to see some Flash villain stuff instead of all these non-comic book Easter eggs and non-Flash Easter eggs permeating this entire narrative. And like biggest plot hole ever in a freaking superhero movie is we're expected to know this, but you don't know who killed his mom. Like this dude is a CSI, and it's bent on proving his dad's innocence, but there's still no culprit.
Right.
You don't see the reverse Flash.
There's no real intent, to figure out like the who did it though. It's just purely focused on him trying to get his dad off the hook.
Like when he goes back, he's supposed to fight the reverse Flash and stop him from doing that, but that's not.
That's what Grant Gustin Flash did.
Yeah, this whole movie is just season 3 of the Flash TV show. Like with the Flashpoint stuff.
Yep.
And the whole Dark Flash villain. That's just Savitar, which is what the Savitar on the TV show was not comic book Savitar by a long shot. And the Dark Flash was just the TV Savitar. They didn't do anything comic book with this movie. It was like they just bit the TV show a little bit and sort of watched the Justice League Flashpoint Paradox movie cartoon.
Again, this is definitely one of the situations where, again, you almost feel like, did y'all get told to not read any of the comics for this or something? Was that not allowed? Well, maybe it should have been a little bit.
That's what they said about Secret Invasion, but that's good.
Hey. That's Marvel. They can't. DC can't do. Y'all can't do what Marvel does. Okay.
Yeah.
Y'all can't weave.
Y'all tried that with the theatrical cut, the Justice League was what as they call it. Moving along. So I don't like the supporting characters, Patty Spivot and Albert Desmond. I like them better on the show with the chick from The Boys and Draco Malfoy. They just should have just called him back. But it was pointless to me to introduce them when that's like a Team Flash sort of thing. That's Team Flash sort of dynamic, which it didn't embody one bit. They were mostly like just roasting his ass.
Again, if they were supposed to come off
in
as
both
any
timelines,
type of friends, and like that failed.
But their job as like Team Flash members was really done by other Justice League members like Alfred and Michael Keaton Batman, Ben Affleck Batman, Supergirl, Barry himself. Like they just made up a bunch.
You're right.
And so talking about the supporting characters being mid, those supporting characters, I did like the dude who played Barry's dad did well. The dude who plays Barry's mom did well. Iris was good. Iris was good.
If anything, she honestly
the
didn't get enough to work with.
The Melting Melvin Nerd Meltdown mob is probably pissed that they just can't get a white Iris West on screen, and I could give less than 2 damns about that. But going into that, that's mostly the substance of this movie. The cameos were mid, dude. I won't consider Michael Keaton's cameo. Michael Keaton's Batman wasn't a cameo. That's a supporting character. That's a main character. Supergirl is just introduced. I wouldn't consider that a cameo. I also wouldn't consider Zod a cameo because he's actually the only villain that appears in the entire movie as part of the plot.
Which is weird.
Yeah.
Which is weird. Here's the thing. This is what's weird to me also is that this movie will be the last time that we see Gal Gadot Wonder Woman. And it ended up being in that.
I don't know if it's the last time. They haven't. James Gunn ain't got all that together yet.
I personally, I think it's possible it may be the last time. And if it is, we got to think that like That's what she going out on.
That's what the whole universe is going out on. This video is called Flash and Autopsy of the DC Universe, the Flash movie. Because this is it. Like,
This, yeah.
Okay. They said something petty that when The Rock heard that Flash did worse than Black Adam, him and his team bust out laughing. First of all, he ain't really got that much room to laugh. Like, that's still not that good for you.
That's true. That's true, Rocky. I don't know if you can laugh. I mean, you could.
Yeah.
Maybe you can chuckle. Maybe you can chuckle a little bit, but not laugh.
Because as good as this movie wasn't, Black Adam wasn't either. Black Adam didn't give me any of the things that I wanted from the Flash movie, so that doesn't count. And the same thing with Blue Beetle. Like, nobody asked for those movies, and they still trying their best to capitalize off of them.
I still got hope for the Beetle at the moment. So.
I don't know why you hold on to it. I don't know why.
I don't know, man. Believe in the Beetle, man.
No.
Believe. Hey,
how's that supposed to start off?
He said, You tell me if you're watching this right now. If you believe in the Beetle, comment on this video.
Comment if you still remember when James Gunn said that he saw The Flash and it's a wonderful movie, and then segued into the start of the DC universe. The new DC universe is going to be the Blue Beetle movie. That doesn't sound good to me. And then they said Aquaman 2 ain't looking good one bit.
Oh, it's probably going to be Boo Boo Juice, but
which like,
I mean, probably it probably will be.
Like, what was the point of even showing Aquaman in the end?
And you know what? That is a serious question that I'd love to have answered, because I gotta be honest and say that might be one of the most worthless in credit scenes I feel like I've seen. And I guess it's probably because we know it's literally not going anywhere.
That was worse than Venom in No Way Home, bro.
And right. And that's the thing. That's what I thought when I saw it. I was like, man, I haven't felt this disrespected by an in credit scene since that movie. Just no.
And so just also, so those cameos were like the best cameos were in the beginning, and the same group of people were being cameoed in the end, with Aquaman from the mainline DC universe still existing as Aquaman. Somehow this is supposed to reset everything, because now we got George Clooney Batman somehow. But Barry's dad nor him changed, which I think that could have been an easy. This was an easy alley-oop right there. This one movie
should have been.
And moving into those cameos, like when we say no Flash-centric content, the cameos weren't Flash-centric. That wasn't a Jay Garrick cameo. That wasn't Teddy Sears like everybody says it was. It's since come out that was a generic CGI face, just as Jay Garrick in the Flash movie. And everything else,
Nick Cage Superman.
Yeah, Nick Cage Superman.
Which is just, I mean, again, the fact that we sat here and are saying here right now, Nick Cage Superman.
If y'all knew the whole story behind that dude, and like how, did you know the same dude? I forgot his name. I'm going to post it on screen when I go and look it up after this video. But the same dude had the rights to a bunch of DC characters, and he was working at Warner Brothers, and he just, like, every movie he wanted to put a giant robotic spider in for whoever to fight. And the movie, he even wanted to do a Sandman movie with that, and Neil Gaiman told him straight up no, like, that sucks. Like, that Dream and the Corinthian were going to end up being brothers or something dumb like that, and they would have to fight a giant spider in the end. And I'm like, this is so stupid. And Neil Gaiman said the same thing. But the movie that he ended up putting it in was Wild Wild West.
Well,
yeah.
Well, we know that movie is, obviously a masterpiece of its era. So,
man.
Look, I mean,
so what do we?
Look, here's the thing. This was really sad. You probably seen this by now. This movie wasn't good. You know what? It just really wasn't. And I feel like it's almost highlighted how good it wasn't, because, I mean, we just got done seeing Across the Spider-Verse. We just got done seeing an excellent S-tier movie.
And you can't come You can't come out swinging this week when the whole scope of superhero movies is dominated by the multiverse and different timeline concept. Like, this can't be the one to, because even Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness and Spider-Man No Way Home as multiverse flicks have their shortcomings. We're not even going to talk about Morbius.
Yeah.
But this just wasn't it. Everything that touches the multiverse did the multiverse better than this. So the Crisis on Infinite Earth was way better than this, and that wasn't even the best crossover in the Arrowverse.
That's
straight
true.
up. And the Titans show did a sort of where Beast Boy goes into what's called the Red. Yeah, and he sees the multiverse and even sees himself on Teen Titans Go, sees Grant Gustin, sees the Shazam movie. Like, even they did a better job than this movie with the whole multiverse concept and like just making it a cameo scene. You know what I mean? But they had to doing too much and still ended up doing too little. Like, you know, it's just like
Look, and it's how you see what you're not picking up on, or maybe you are, is that, my friend here next to me, this is a hurting man.
I'm a Flash fan.
He like,
I wanted a dark CSI thriller.
Favorite character,
Yeah, of these, yeah.
He's been waiting on this for years.
And I haven't liked this version of the Flash one bit.
No.
Every time I've seen him, I've just not been a fan, from, the ponytail version in Batman v Superman to the little snitching kid in Justice League, to this movie. Not a fan.
And just all the years of talking it up and the hype and the promotion in this. I mean, so basically what we're faced with is the fact that we've waited so long. Folks have suffered and waited, and we've heard all the hype and the promotional things and the speculation and all this and that. And then this is what they served us.
Yeah.
And it's just, how could it not be disappointing?
Yeah.
How could it not be disappointing that this is the best they could come up with?
There's so many good Flash stories. But a lot of those stories require more than singular introduction to the Flash to get there, especially Flashpoint.
I mean, that's really the situation, is just the audacity to take on a character's greatest story. Look, I'll straight up say it. To me,
Flashpoint shouldn't be. It's not my favorite, but it shouldn't be the first movie. It should be the second or third.
Right, but so to come out the gates with that, it doesn't make any sense.
Yeah,
no, it never made any sense.
No, and
I mean, it didn't do itself any favors either. And
it's not making me very excited for the new DC universe. I'm not too trustworthy with what we've been told. I'm just not really. Like, where are we with the Flash? Are we going to leave the Flash alone after being so dissatisfied for so long, and then it'll be another 10 years before we're dissatisfied again? Like, because it's been a long time since the TV show started, and and they did that season of this.
I don't know, man. I mean, it doesn't seem to be at the forefront of Gunn's new DCEU.
But I do feel like if Gunn took control of the Flash like he's taking control of Superman, I do feel like it would be nice and like really good. It would fare well. They said they're doing like a sort of sequel thing as like a episodic podcast show, and it's supposed to go off the back of this movie and sort of, I guess, mean something in the new scope of the DC universe. Like, I feel like they need to make it into a
skeptical
HBO Max series.
That would really be the way.
Dark CSI thriller.
That would really be the way. I think, yeah, I think that's the one thing that has failed with the movie Bear that needs to be fixed with new movie Barry, new movie Flash in the future is leaning into that the CSI investigative sort of line of thinking. This again, that's really who he is. That's one of the core aspects. If you look in the DC whole verse situation, I mean, the two best detectives are Batman and
That's their
Flash.
dynamic. That's their friendship. That's why it's important that Batman is the other main character in the Flashpoint. So I think with that, that connection needs to be there in the new scope of things. Like, you know how in the MCU they kind of got this, down, like where they have the cosmic area and they have the street level area, and they sort of blend it well when you have like Falcon and Winter Soldier and Secret Wars on TV, as well as WandaVision coming from Disney Plus, popping off on screen over at Multiverse of Madness. Like, you need to have a separate. There need to be parts of what the DC universe needs to get right that Marvel didn't do, is the singular parts of the DC scope. Like, they don't. Marvel still doesn't. The reason why the MCU is a thing is because they made those first Avengers characters popular. Before the Avengers 1 movie, I'm not talking about before like the first Iron Man movie, Captain America movie, Thor movie. It's about before the first Avengers movie. Didn't nobody care about them until you saw them on screen together. Nobody cared about Thor. Nobody cared about Iron Man. Nobody cared about Captain America. Didn't nobody care about Hawkeye. Nobody cared about Black Widow. People cared about Spider-Man, Fantastic Four, the Hulk, and X-Men.
So, yeah, more specifically, Wolverine.
Yeah. What DC needs to do is make sure they have a good concentrated area of the Speedster mythos, the Lantern mythos, the Bat Family legend, the Kryptonian mythos, the Themyscirian mythos, and the whole technology thing with cats like Cyborg and to an extent, I guess, the Blue Beetle thing with Ted Kord more so than Jaime Reyes.
Yeah.
But still, that needs to be those. When you do a crossover event, those elements need to cross over successfully while being character concentrated, because that's what they got right in Across the Spider-Verse.
Yeah. Yeah. No. Well said. Well said.
Yeah.
Yeah. I agree with that.
If they don't do that with this new one, if they just put out, and I guess it's it's been said that the new Superman movie starts with a world where heroes already exist. Okay. It don't need to be the James Gunn type of world where, you put all this concentration into the obscure superheroes, because we know he's already doing the Authority. He did the Suicide Squad, and he made the Guardians of the Galaxy popular. Like, I've seen James Gunn on a Superman type thing before, and that was Brightburn. And I need a good Superman and Clark Kent story, not a. I'm sick of seeing the evil Superman trope. It's in everything, like. So.
Yeah,
I don't know.
We definitely need to change for that. I mean,
if you're gonna do the evil Superman trope with the Authority or something like that, like, give me Death of Superman and then bring him back, but make it for real, not like in the Justice League movie. Give him the black suit, like, when he gets back, and have him beat their ass in the black suit and him be a problem. But that don't need to be, that's not a Justice League story. That's a Superman story. When he gets back, he has to fight. Like, it's Steel. They have Steel. They have Cyborg Superman. They have the Eradicator. That's Reign of the Superman, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, dude. So, yeah. I'm not trying to see these regular quit starting stuff over, and we've had too many, especially with Spider-Man movies. There's been too many origin stories. Like, I'm sick of seeing that. Like, let's get to the meat and potatoes of these characters, because there aren't really, outside of Batman and the old cheesy movies, most of what we're dealing with that's not a new trilogy. Like, all the superhero stories out of the MCU mostly are like origin stories. We don't know much about Ant-Man other than what we learned when we first met him. Like, he hasn't gotten stronger or like much crazier. The quantum powers come from his first movie.
Yeah.
Doctor Strange didn't do much different in this movie than he does in any other movie. He's as strong as he was. Like, he gets really strong between his movie and Thor Ragnarok when Thor runs into him for the cameo. And then the next time you see him, he's giving hands to Thanos. So there's not much, like, progression here to, like, some serious. I want to see, like, a Doctor Strange The Oath story. I got that book in here somewhere. That's one of the good, like, storylines. Like, do me something like that on screen. Like, we're really wasting the multiverse concept with these bloated cameos that lead nowhere.
Yeah, yeah. And again, just that's not what we're asking for.
Mm-hmm.
Make a good movie. Make a good story.
And the Flash has too much available. We got Out of Time, Flash War. I mean, like, Terminal Velocity, and that's a Wally West storyline, but you could still even probably, like, concentrate on Wally West now and just put Barry Allen in the back burner and bring him back later like you did in Rebirth. Rebirth is a good storyline that's post-Flashpoint.
Fantastic.
Shoot. The Speed Force storm from Rebirth. You don't even need I say Rebirth this time. There's a Flash comic called Rebirth, and then there's DC Rebirth, and one of the first, I think the first Flash storyline in DC Rebirth is the Speed Force storm story. I mean, old CSI Barry Allen with his original villains like Captain Cold, Weather Wizard, Heat Wave, Golden Glider, Rainbow Raider, the Trickster. Like, come on.
All we can do is hope that they will pull from maybe some of
Grodd
the next time, whenever that is.
Yeah, dude.
But for this one, straight trash. Overall, it's trash. Like, it has a few good things, but even the good things aren't really enough for me to say that it isn't trash.
Yeah. Y'all see me over here. I'm like, y'all owe me, because
we've talked.
I stuck up for this movie
so long. If you have been watching this channel since we've been doing this since 2020, this, honestly, the topic of the Flash and the Flash movie has probably been the most talked about topic throughout all of our episodes and all of our things.
And we haven't even talked about the Flash show, really. We covered every other. We don't even cover, like, DC shows like that. We don't really cover shows like that, but we do discuss a lot of this content. And it's just, this was supposed to kickstart another movement within the DC universe, and it did everything but that.
It definitely did not do that. No.
And so we're just left with, like, well, this is what we had to review. We couldn't even talk that much about the actual movie. That's because there's not enough content there to really pull apart for us. There's plenty of other channels who do, like, Easter egg breakdowns and what have you, but I'm not going to waste too much time here doing all that when it's not going to lead to anything and barely pulls from anything. And if that was, since that's true, it should be a better standalone story, and it's not.
And yet,
like, we can go on for another hour on what could have been. I mean, not one Flash actor cameo. You found a way to CGI Nick Cage in here, but you couldn't CGI John Wesley Shipp. You couldn't put a cartoon in there. You couldn't put a comic panel. Speaking of which, a lot of movies capitalize on comic panels as frames. I ain't catching none of that in here. Tired of y'all. I'm tired of y'all.
Not at all.
Y'all doing my Flash wrong.
And you know what? Hey, all we can do is...
Maybe this is what I get for y'all doing my Sandman so right.
All we can do now is wait and see if DC can bounce back with that Blue Beetle, y'all.
Why you...
Hashtag Blue Beetle, yeah.
If he is not a part of a Titans team in this new DC universe, I already know not to get too invested.
Telling y'all, my hot take, Blue Beetle gonna be the sleeper, gonna be a little summer sleeper hit. Gonna be a little summer sleeper hit. Yeah, I feel it. I feel it.
They said that about Shazam both times.
I didn't say that about Shazam.
I said they.
Oh, they did. But
I know you ain't said
but
about
yeah.
Shazam.
Oh, yeah, I was like, yo, I didn't say.
He said, "Hold on. Who said that?"
Yeah, I didn't say that. But
I don't. I'm on Shazam like I am about Blue Beetle. Like, did nobody ask for no Shazam movie?
Man,
Did nobody ask for no Black Adam movie?
I think he's here. I think he's here to low key shock a lot of people. I just got a good feeling. About it, y'all. I just got a good feeling about
How are they gonna
gun? I need my check, please. But anyways, yeah.
if he's right, send him his bread. If he's right, send him his bread. I'll be there to tell. I'm gonna go see the movie. I'm just like, how is they need to quit doing that? If you're gonna start a universe from somewhere, like they decided to start the universe, like the true start of the universe of this last universe that this Flash movie left off of was Man of Steel, but it got expanded with Batman v Superman. How are you gonna expand a whole DC universe from Jaime Reyes Blue Beetle?
I guess we're gonna have to find out. We're gonna find out real soon.
You too optimistic for me. See, that's what I'm saying. I'm over trying to start shit.
What?
I'm trying to start shit. And you over here like, nah, man, it's cool.
When you are down and you're already as low as you are from what this Flash movie's done,
yeah,
you got plenty of space to go up. You know,
yeah,
you got plenty of space. Believe in the Beetle. Believe in the Beetle. Oh man.
Because what this is gonna mean is that they're gonna have to do a storyline where the Scarab is a central part of like a Deus Ex Machina MacGuffin somewhere, because he's the first. Like, it's like Iron Man having to kill himself in Endgame.
I don't know. Hopefully not. But dang, man. I guess we're gonna find out.
See,
I guess we're gonna find out. I don't know, y'all.
I ain't even gonna lie. I'm over here hating. The trailer looks cool. The trailer looks freaking great. Like the suit and all that stuff. Best looking stuff I hadn't seen out of this whole shebang, to be honest. But that's not that high of a bar. And also, DC, when did this start? When did Man of Steel come out? 2013.
Sounds about right.
10 years later. 10 years later, all these bad movies, DC always had gang-busting trailers.
Art of the trailer.
Yeah, art of the trailer, not the movie.
Look.
You know what happened with Suicide Squad 1?
Yeah, we all do.
And so they do shit like that. I don't want them to do shit like they did with that, where they took the movie from the director and gave it to the studio that edited the trailer to edit the whole movie.
Hopefully not. But look, man, also again, this is how bad the Flash movie was. We're now out here talking about, can Blue Beetle be a small bounce back? This is what y'all have done. This is what an autopsy
Aquaman? Like they said, Jason Momoa. Everybody's thinking Jason Momoa is gonna play Lobo, which would be a good idea. He could play both. Shoot, there's plenty of motherfuckers in the MCU who play multiple characters. Because Alfred Woodard was in Luke Cage, and she started Civil War.
It wouldn't be entirely out of the question.
Yeah,
I don't know. I mean,
but that's, you know what that makes me think? That's a different video, but that makes me think she's a Skrull.
Bum, bum, bum.
Mm-hmm.
Dang. Man, I don't know, y'all. Y'all tell us.
Ooh, we tried to make
this Flash movie as trash to you as it was for us, or maybe are we just completely?
Am I too harsh? Am I being dramatic?
Right? Are we just entirely too?
Have I read too far into it? Or is it my fault that I've read too many Flash comics? And I wasn't expecting things no, I'm lying. I was expecting things out of Flash comics in a freaking Flash movie. But I wasn't expecting a grand Flash opus I was expecting at least like something. This wasn't it.
And yet, this was not it at all.
Mm-mm.
Man. And with that, we got to wrap up this autopsy review.
Mm-hmm.
This has been the most unpleasant review we've ever done here at the Academy, but it had to be said.
Class dismissed.